Hey sailors, welcome to another great day at school. It's language arts time, and I hope that you're enjoying those independent reading books. And thanks to Mrs. McCaskey for kicking off reading in the new year. And hit up our classroom libraries at LMC and use our local library resources to check out ebooks and audiobooks and cool things like that. Today in English, we're going to be reading one of my favorite stories called The Chase. And it's a pretty dramatic piece with a lot of action. It's also a true story about a girl throwing snowballs at cars, which, I'm sure you've never done. So the story's not long, but it's intense, and I love reading it because it has so many great authors' techniques that we can notice and celebrate. And secondly, for the theme, we're going to really analyze the theme, like what is the author's message? So this piece is part of a big book. She wrote An American Childhood was the title of her big book, but this is one chapter in it called The Chase, and she selected key moments from her life that were really powerful and important, kind of like you're taking a risk essay. So I want you to think about, what is the theme? Of all the things that she lived through, why was this one of those stories that made it into the book? And then, as always, take the theme and hold it up to your own life, right? How does it make a text-to-life connection for you? Today, the first part, we're just going to be noticing the author's techniques, and then I'll leave some deep thinking questions for you to just talk about with your crew. No writing, just thinking, talking. And then tomorrow, that will springboard to our Wednesday work at home. You'll just actually respond to those deep thinking questions. There's just 5. All right, so let's just get into it. Today's learning target, I can identify descriptive words and phrases to capture action, right? We don't want to be bored when we're reading something, and we don't want to be bored when we're writing. How do authors do that good work of capturing stories and making them lively? And then secondly, I can identify the theme or life message and connect that theme to my own life. So what you just need a single document, and your link to the story is right there. So if you go to Google Classroom and click on The Chase, you will find this document that has a quadrant. And these are just some notes that we're going to do today. And you don't have to write as we read. We will pause and you'll be able to do that. So I will pause, go ahead and find the Chase document, and I'll see you in a sec. All right, here it is. So as we read, we're going to notice how the author uses brilliant adjectives. I want you to find 4. Adjectives describe nouns, so they're those descriptive words: skinny, knowing, skilled. Those are 3 adjectives she uses to describe some of the boys that she hangs with on her block. Adjectives. Over into this quadrant here, the second one, prepositional phrases. We just studied those this past week. So over picket fences, through thorny hedges, across the grocery store's delivery driveway. You're going to see a flurry of them, strings of them, back to back to back, and it creates this momentum in the writing, this flurry of action. So it's like the scenery is whizzing by. So that's just really how grammar helps serve you and make you a better writer, using prepositions back to back. Add 4. Proper nouns, we know nouns are people, places, and things. Proper nouns are specific and capitalized, like a brand name or a person's name or a place. And so you need to add 3 more to the list I started. Those are examples. And then I want 2 action lines you just like, right? As we read, what are two lines that kind of speak to you from Annie Dillard? Okay. The bottom are just your 5 thinking questions. Those are really for Wednesday, but we'll throw them out there for you to talk about in your crew for some good discussion. So go ahead and click on right here is the story link. It might also be posted in Google Classroom for you. So go ahead and open up our story. All right. And if needed, you can magnify it and make the text bigger. So just go ahead and adjust that how you like it to look. And we'll begin. It says, in this chapter from her autobiography, Story of Her Own Life, An American Childhood, Dillard leads us running desperately through snow-filled backyards. Like all of Dillard's writing, this romp shows an unparalleled enthusiasm for life and skill at expressing it. So as we launch ourselves into 2021, a new year, I think this story really captures all of the momentum, the hope, the joy of living that we kind of want to renew ourselves with and start this year with. So, we shall begin. All right, make sure your eyes are right here at some boys, and I will read. Some boys taught me to play football. This is fine sport. You thought up a new strategy for every play, and you whispered it to the others. You went out for a pass, fooling everyone. Best, you got to throw yourself mightily at someone's running legs. Either you brought him down or you hit the ground flat out on your chin with your arms empty before you. It was all or nothing. If you hesitated in fear, you'd miss and get hurt. You'd take a hard fall while that kid got away, or you would get kicked in the face while that kid got away. But if you flung yourself wholeheartedly at the back of his knees, if you gathered and joined body and soul and pointed them, diving fearlessly, then you likely wouldn't get hurt and you'd stop the ball. Your fate and your team's score depended on your concentration and courage. Nothing girls did could compare with it. Boys welcomed me at baseball too, for I had, through enthusiastic practice, what was weirdly known as a boy's arm. In winter, in the snow, there was neither baseball nor football, so the boys and I threw snowballs at passing cars. I got in trouble throwing snowballs and have seldom been happier since. All right, pausing there, I'd love for you to discuss in your cruise. First of all, what is it that Dillard loves about football? All right, I'll pause, chat about it. That all or nothing aspect, right? You can't hesitate in fear. You just got to go for it. So she likes things that are experiences that are intense, that require all of you, body, mind, spirit, to just point yourself and go. And I want you to make an inference. Tell your neighbor or someone in your crew, or if you're at home, just think about this one. What is an inference you can make about our author? She's the I, it's first person point of view. She's telling the story. What kind of girl is she? All right, think about that. All right, so I think Dillard, athletic, feisty, strong-willed, okay? She's a seeker of intense action. All right, scroll to the next page. On one weekday morning after Christmas, 6 inches of new snow had just fallen. We're standing up to our boot tops in snow on a front yard on trafficked Reynolds Street, waiting for cars. The cars traveled Reynolds Street slowly and evenly. They were targets, all but wrapped in red ribbons, cream puffs. We couldn't miss. I was 7. The boys were 8, 9, and 10. The oldest 2 Fahey boys were there, Mikey and Peter, polite blonde boys who lived near me on Lloyd Street and who had already had 4 brothers and sisters. My parents approved Mikey and Peter Fahey. Chicky McBride was there, tough kid, and Billy Paul and Mackie Keene, too, from across Reynolds, where the boys grew up dark and furious, grew up skinny and knowing and skilled. We'd all drifted from our houses that morning, looking for action, and we found it here on Reynolds Street. It was cloudy but cold, the car's tires laid behind them on a snowy street, a complex trail of beige chunks like crenellated castle walls. I'd stepped on some earlier, and they squeaked. We could have wished for more traffic, but when a car came, we all popped at one, and in the intervals between cars, we reverted to the natural solitude of children. I started making an ice ball. Perfect ice ball, from perfectly white snow, perfectly spherical, and squeezed perfectly translucent, so no snow remained all the way through. The Fahey boys and I considered it unfair, actually, to throw an ice ball at somebody, but it had been known to happen. I just embarked on the ice ball project when we heard tire chains come clanking from afar. A black Buick was moving toward us down the street. We all spread out, banged together some regular snowballs, and took aim. And when the Buick drew nigh, we fired. A soft snowball hit the driver's windshield right before the driver's face. It made a smashed star with a little hump in the middle. Often, of course, we hit our target. But this time, the only time in all of life, the car pulled over and stopped. Its wide black door opened and a man got out of it running. He didn't even close the car door. Okay, I'm going to pause here right at paragraph 10, and this is what I want us to think about. What are some amazing adjectives that you have so far? Like maybe the color of the car. What were some of those kids like on that street? So what was the snowball like, right? Spherical. Okay, so there's an example. So give me some adjectives, a couple there, and then you already know some proper nouns, street names, brand name of the car, kids who were there. That just makes it a little bit more personal. You know, if she just said, yeah, we were in our hometown throwing some snowballs on the street, that's not very exciting. But, we're on Reynolds. It's Chicky McBride. It's Mikey and Peter Fahey. Okay, I'm with you now. I'm in your childhood neighborhood right there. So I want you to do this quadrant and then right below it, proper nouns, adjectives and proper nouns. So just take about 2 minutes, a couple adjectives, a couple proper nouns, 2 to 3. See you back. All right, and we shall continue. So we're right here at paragraph 10. This is right after the wide black door opened. The man got out of it running. He didn't even close the car door. He ran after us, and we ran away from him up the snowy Reynolds sidewalk. At the corner, I looked back, and incredibly, he was still after us. He was in city clothes, a suit and tie, street shoes. Any normal adult would have quit, having sprung us into flight and made his point. But this man was gaining on us. He was a thin man, all action, and all of a sudden, we were running for our lives. Wordless, we split up. We're on our turf. We could lose ourselves in the neighborhood backyards, everyone for himself. I paused and considered. Everyone had vanished, except for Mikey Fahey, who was just rounding the corner of a yellow brick house. Yeah, poor Mikey. I trailed him. The driver of the Buick sensibly picked the two of us to follow. The man apparently had all day. He chased Mikey and me around the yellow house and up a backyard path we knew by heart, under a low tree, up a bank, through a hedge, down some snowy steps, and across a grocery store's delivery driveway. We smashed through a gap in another hedge, entered a scruffy backyard, and ran around its back porch and tight between houses to Edgerton Avenue. We ran across Edgerton to an alley and up our own sliding wood pile to the hall's front yard, and he kept coming. We ran up Lloyd Street and wound through mazy backyards toward the steep hilltop at Willard and Lane. He chased us silently, block after block. He chased us silently over picket fences and through thorny hedges, between houses and around garbage cans and across streets. And every time I looked back, choking for breath, I expected he would have quit. He must have been as breathless as we were, his jacket all strained over his body. And it was an immense discovery, pounding into my hot head with every sliding, joyous step, that this ordinary adult evidently knew what I thought only children who trained at football knew. That you have to fling yourself at what you're doing. You have to point yourself, forget yourself, aim, and dive. Mikey and I had nowhere to go, in our own neighborhood or out of it, but away from this man who was chasing us. He impelled us forward. We compelled him to follow our route. The air was cold, and every breath tore at my throat. We kept running block after block. We kept improvising backyard after backyard, running a frantic course and choosing it simultaneously, failing always to find small places or hard places to slow him down, and discovering always, exhilarated, dismayed, that only bare speed could save us. For he would never give up. This man and we were losing speed. All right, I want to pause right here at paragraph 15. True or false? She hates this guy, disrespects him. Talk about it in your crew. What do you think? How does she feel about this pursuer, this guy who's chasing him? Go for it. So yeah, she's astounded. It's this immense discovery. She's like, what the? Who is this guy, right? She kind of like thinks of him as this Mr. Incredible, the superhero, right? Every other adult is like, oh, you stupid kids, get out of here, right? But this guy gets out of his car, he's like, not today. And he goes after it. And she's like, nobody has that gumption. Nobody has those guts. Nobody really tries anymore. Everybody's just lazy. And, they're just kind of, haphazardly walking the dog through life, life on cruise control. But this guy is not today. And he goes for it. So there's all this respect for him. So when I read, I nearly became out of breath because of the way the author writes. And I think it's such a cool, intentional technique she uses. She has prepositional phrase after prepositional phrase. Up a low tree, up a bank, through a hedge, down some snowy steps, across the grocery store's delivery driveway. What's the effect? It makes me feel like I'm running. It makes me feel breathless, like I'm terrified and, trying to get away from this guy. It's almost exhausting. And so we get to live her piece because of the cool technique she uses. Grammar is amazing. So for you, right here, I'd love for you to add 4 more prepositional phrases right here in this quadrant, and you shall find them starting on paragraph 12 and paragraph 13. And if you find those, then go ahead and add 1 action line you just like. This is just good writing right here. I mean, I love where she talks about, her, I glance back, choking for breath, right? Because when you're running and your lungs are burning, that's what it feels like. I will pause. You collect some prepositional phrases that our author intelligently included for a dramatic effect in your favorite action line. And I'll meet you back at paragraph 15. All right, we got to find out what's going to happen, right? This rising action is mounting. Paragraph 15. He chased us through the backyard labyrinths of 10 blocks before he caught us by our jackets. He got us, and we all stopped. We 3 stood, staggering, half-blinded, coughing in an obscure hilltop backyard. A man in his 20s, a boy, a girl. He had released our jackets, our pursuer, our captor, our hero. He knew we weren't going anywhere. We all played by the rules. Mikey and I unzipped our jackets. I pulled off my sopping mittens. Our tracks multiplied in the backyard's new snow. We've been breaking new snow all morning. We didn't look at each other. I was cherishing my excitement. The man's lower pant legs were wet. His cuffs were full of snow, and there was a pile of snow beneath him on his shoes and in his socks. Some trees bordered the little flat backyard, some messy winter trees, and there's no one around. A clearing and a grove, and we the only players. It was a long time before he could speak, and I had some difficulty at first recalling why we were there. My lips felt swollen. I couldn't see out of the sides of my eyes. I kept coughing. "You stupid kids," he began perfunctorily. We listened perfunctorily indeed, if we listened at all, for the chewing out was redundant, a mere formality, and beside the point. The point was, he had chased us passionately, without giving up, and so he had caught us. And now he came down to earth. But I wanted that glory to last forever. But how could the glory have lasted forever? We could have run through every backyard in North America until we got to Panama. But when he trapped us at the lip of the Panama Canal, what precisely could he have done to prolong the drama of the chase and cap its glory? I brooded about this for the next few years. He could only have fried Mikey Fahey and me in boiling oil, say, or dismembered us piecemeal, or staked us to anthills, none of which I really wanted, and none of which any adult was likely to do, even in the spirit of fun. He could only chew us out there in the Panamanian jungle after months or years of exulting pursuit. He could only begin with, "You stupid kids," and continue in his ordinary Pittsburgh accent with his normal righteous anger and the usual common sense. But if in that snowy backyard, the driver of that black Buick had cut off our heads, Mikey's and mine, I would have died happy. For nothing has required so much of me as being chased all over Pittsburgh in the middle of winter, running, terrified, exhausted by the sainted, skinny, furious, red-headed man who wished to have a word with us. I don't know how he found his way back to his car. All right, so this story is quite the ride. If you need additional time, go ahead and you need to add a second action line that you really like. I just want to celebrate and review some of the techniques that Annie Dillard uses while you're doing that. I love how she includes all the senses. It's not just a story of sight, but it's also like how she feels and what she hears maybe. Her, sopping mittens, frantic, breathless, exhilarated. Those are amazing adjectives. I love the strings of prepositions back to back, like before the driver's face, under the low tree, through the thorny hedge, over picket fences. It indeed creates that whirlwind flurry of action. And the proper nouns are sort of at pizzazz and familiarity, right? It's a black Buick. We're down here in Pittsburgh and Reynolds Street. Repetition. We saw that earlier in Car Trip, where we read about the puke story in that car trip down to Florida, like stick to your brothers, stick up for your brothers, blah, blah, blah. This one is the word perfect. I started making an ice ball, a perfect ice ball from perfectly white snow, perfectly spherical, squeezed perfectly translucent, so it really zooms in. He chased us silently, block after block. He chased us silently over picket fences, just cool techniques. And you guys know the positive. He had released our jackets. He, our pursuer, our captor, our hero. So many great things. Pick a favorite line you love. These are mine too. We three stood staggering, half blinded, coughing in obscure hilltop backyard. I love that she says, it was an immense discovery, pounding into my hot head with every joyous sliding slip. So if you've ever run in the wintertime and it's freezing out, but you're like, boiling hot with your mittens and your hat, and you can almost hear your pulse pounding in your head. I think she captures that, which is so cool. And every breath tore at my throat. So I take one more minute and make sure that your little quadrant of notes is filled out. And I'm just going to leave you with some questions to think about today in your crew. So I'll pause, give you maybe 3 more minutes, and we'll just go with some discussion that will springboard you into your work on Wednesday. Okay, these are Wednesday's questions that you'll do at home, but I think it'd be awesome to just end this hour and close having some conversations with your crew. So I'll read them and then you guys can go for them in class. But the author used a series of prepositional phrases, just a string of them back to back. What effect does that have on the writing? So you can pause and discuss that one or just discuss them all at your end, your choice, what your teacher wants to do. Second, How does Annie Dillard feel about this pursuer, this guy chasing them, and why? Is he just some dumb, lame adult or what? Go for it. Question 3. Why do you think, or what do you think is Dillard's theme, her message in this story? And I would love, this is what you're going to do tomorrow, find a line, a quote from the story that you think best captures this theme. So when we think about theme is bigger than run fast, right? Theme, it makes a claim about life, right? It's a message the author wants to give you to live by. It's kind of from their experience, their guiding principles. It's got to have a verb, like do this, not just one word. And it could apply to most people. So the theme here isn't don't throw snowballs. That's not the theme. She would go back and relive that moment over and over. She loved the chase. If she would have died in that backyard, she would have died happy. Why? What did she love about this moment? So the theme of the story is what? Why did she respect this man? And then finally, thinking of our new year ahead, what is something you are throwing yourself at or really going for? So these questions are on the bottom of your document, and they're also right here. Okay, so have fun discussing these in class, and then this will be your Wednesday work tomorrow. All right, don't throw snowballs at Carr, but live life to the fullest and go for it. Thanks so much.